Chapter 1. The war the thunder was defending, the ground itself seemed to shake from the angry skies flashing out above. Nothing was beyond the reach of the storm. The lightning cracked in all directions, looking like the skeleton of a dead tree in the sky. The shadows of the unknown appeared for brief moments at a time, taunting him, serving only to make the dark night more terrifying. Why did the dark shadows grow larger than their otherwise normal objects, turning them into Gorkor's beasts? He was breathless as he bolted out from under the tree after lightning struck nearby. The lion was after him, or so he thought. He ran until his lungs ached from the effort. Where was he running? He knew of no safe place out there, but he reasoned that if he kept running, he would at least do something to preserve his life. The rain blew sideways, stinging his eyes in a blinding fury. The thunder continued to jeer at him, laughing at his perilous condition. He tripped on an unseen rock and landed face first in a bog of slimy mud that covered the side of his head. He tried desperately to shake the mud off of his feet and sank into the dark, thick muck. He panicked as he struggled to free himself of its cold clutches. Finally, he broke loose and ran into the night. The storm had an eye in its terrorized pursuit. In the distance he heard the unmistakable howls of a pack of wolves on a chase. His heart was now thumping overtime in his chest. The blood-curdling growls of the wolves came closer. He could hear them panting as the gap narrowed between them. He felt insane fear, knowing that he was surrounded. There was no way out. They were closing in. Suddenly, the ground beneath him disappeared. He was in the midair for a split second as he fell off the rock face. Violently, he rolled along the rocky slope, hitting every outcropping on the way down. He felt a searing pain on his left leg before he landed with a breath-stealing thud on the hard ground below. He could feel the warm blood oozing from his leg. That was now serving to assort the wolves. They smelled his blood and sensed his fear. A jagged bolt of light lit up the sky, followed by a violent boom of thunder. The instant flash eliminated three scowling wolves looking down at him. They growled, teeth snarling, and pungent breath stinking up the air around them. Their yellow eyes stared menacingly at them. There was no way else to run. Even if he could have run away, he was cut off. He knew it, and they knew it. The leader of the pack lifted his head, nose turned toward the sky. He howled at the storm to declare victory and the end. "Max, wake up, lad! Did you hear me then? Wake up! Wake up!" Where was he? Wait, his leg. The wolves. The storm. What was happening? His heart was still racing. He was wet, but not from the rain. He was sweating. He looked around and listened. All he heard was the sound of crickets and the oozing fog answering back. Everything else was still. Not even a breath of wind blew. The dark night wasn't over, but at least all was calm, and he was exactly where he was supposed to be. He breathed a little sigh of relief and rolled over. Morning couldn't come soon enough. Chapter 2. A Mysterious Wind. The morning mist was unusually thick as Max stepped out of his cozy burrow and walked down to the lodge. The wetness settled lightly on his weary black fur, but made Max feel soggy as he walked through the mist that he liked to call London clouds. He imagined he was walking on the air, high above the ground. He liked that feeling, for he was a small animal. His short, stocky belly made him quick as straw, but he kept him low to the ground. The heights of reach. Max trod along the dewy moss, smiling as he wondered if clouds were soft as the lush green turf of Scotland. Fleas of a mist ran down his large square head. Ay, if only I could slip enough of this mist off of me head, I could skip the long walk to the lodge. Ah, well enough, it's always good to have trot the glen. The forest was buzzing with the dawn of a new day. Max breathed in the woodsy air as he trod down the well-worn patch his scruffy paws had made. His daydream of cloud walking was interrupted as he looked up. He couldn't help but notice how incredibly small he was under the towering hardwood trees. He wondered what the view must have been from up there. Birds must have the life, thought Max. Ay, but the Maker gave me plenty. To be a Scottish tear, it is a grand thing. Sometimes it bothered Max that he was small, but he was brave enough, he reasoned. Max was really frightened. Indeed, there was only two things that scared Max, but they were guarded secrets known by only one other animal. What spooked most creatures didn't faze Max, in fact. He looked forward to a challenge. His characteristic deep throat growl let the others know when something was amiss. Max's pointy, bushy ears were peeled up at the tenderly his fur would rise along the back of his spine to the tip of his short tail. Max was the eyes and ears of the forest, definitely the finest watchdog in all of Scotland. The Glen was his territory, and he was set to that no invader brought harm to those who trusted him. He came from a long line of protectors. The Bruce clan were good stock. Max could pick up the faintest scent with his long nose. He would chase, corner, and capture the swiftest of pesky small creatures, but often he wondered what would happen if he came face to face with a mighty beast. Would he ever be up for the challenge? Max's Korean dream made him ponder many things. There was no denying his braveness, but even more so, there was no denying his heart. Max had an unsteady sense of loyalty to his fellow creatures, and a remarkable tenderness as well. So, although he could be a gruff as predator, he was as gentle as a friend. It was often said that Max will joy in his heart on outside. The moments in his deepest brown eyes let others know that he was trusted. One could not help but be happy around Max as he smiled, his wife's teeth showing in a contentedly open grin. Because of his bravery around the forest and his big heart, Max became known as Max Solomon Braveheart the Bruce. He was always helped the lost baby rabbit who wandered away from its mother, and a torrent rolled down the hill. Max would push it back up to the hill again. Sometimes the young cows would chase butterflies across the hillside and became disinterred, and Max would guide them back to their herd. His strong jaws frequently pulled frightened sheep out of the box. And of course there was the special howl of an eagle that gazed the large green hillside just as outside above the lodge. Gallimon was his name, a ripped old mountain goat who had wandered his countryside for many years. Sometimes Galen was a show because of his poor eyesight. At times he would mistake one cave for another, thinking it was his own, only to find an upset mother fox telling Galen to find his own cave. Max regardlessly guided Galen back home, and Galen guided Max in his ways of life. Max was deeply indebted to Galen. When Max was a puppy, Galen was the only one who found him. One night, when he was roaming at the edge of the glen, perhaps this is the way Max felt the tug on his heart to help other lost creatures. He knew how bad it felt to be lost, and he knew how wonderful it felt to be found. This encounter long ago started a friendship that became stronger with the passing seasons in the glen. The mist lifted as Max left the forest. Today the sun was up over the horizon, and bees alive.